Welcome to week 2. We'll start with chapter 5 in our primary text, Hackman and Johnson, where we learn that leaders gain more power by empowering others. There are 5 major reasons for why leaders choose to share power. They include distributing power, which increases job satisfaction; sharing power, which fosters greater cooperation; distributing power, which means collective survival; and using effective leadership, which helps personal growth; and of course sharing power, which prevents power abuse. One quote from our text in chapter 5 reads, "The fact that speakers are perceived as powerless or powerful based on the way they talk means that language can be an important tool for building power bases. Conversely, inappropriate language can reduce perceived power and leadership potential." Now, some examples of inappropriate language might be hesitation, hedges, crutch words, etc. So when you speak with confidence. Speak to power. Instill those principles in yourself before you try to share them with others. Now, in chapter 5, there's a table 5.1, that I encourage you to look at and review the benefits and costs of power types. Pretty good summary there that I think will help you. I also encourage you to take the personal power profile located on page 138. Let's move to chapter 6. We'll continue our discussion of influence by taking a closer look at how leaders modify the behavior of others through symbolic communication. And we'll focus on 4 sets of influence tools. These include credibility building, compliance gaining, argumentation competencies, and negotiation tactics. One thing that your author points out is the importance of credibility. Your authors talk about credibility having or being equal to the most central idea in leadership. Credibility is that important. It's equal to the central idea of your leadership, the leadership that you're trying to communicate. The most significant elements or dimensions of credibility include competence, trustworthiness, and dynamism. Now, I've heard it that way. I've also heard it a different way, which I think is a little easier to grasp, and that is credibility equals competence plus character. Think about your own competence, in other words, what you know, and your own character, why you care, and how do those combine to make up your own credibility? All right, I recommend that you review the managerial influence tactics that are located on page 173, and you can also rate yourself on the credibility scales, which are found in the first application exercises on pages 195 and 196. So that's our primary text. We'll move on to one of our supplemental readings, and that's from Connaughton and Daly. They provide a pretty good summary of research that's related to distance leadership. And as part of their research, they confirm that communication is central to leadership, and it plays an especially crucial role in distance leadership. They note that previous research has argued that geographical dispersion strains the opportunities for communication between leaders and members. That's because there's several challenges. That includes building trust, inspiring others, managing conflict, evaluating performance, and a myriad of other challenges that are evident in any situation between leader and a follower, but especially between leaders and followers who are not located in the same place. So think about that and how these challenges have one commonality. That commonality, of course, is communication. It's one of the reasons why this class is so important, this leadership and global communication. Our second supplemental reading is from Mileta and Roberts from 2008. This is a case study about the global integrated plan that was devised for the replacement of Columbia Coffee ambassador Juan Valdez. And one of the things that they learned as part of this case study is that authenticity is very, very important to strategic communication. It's especially important when you're talking about different cultures, being authentic. And we'll discuss a little bit more of that as we go through the week. They also describe an interplay between local and global. They coined a term called glocal, Glocal. It essentially means that you need to focus just as much in the local communication priorities as you do the global communication priorities. They merge those together and call it glocal communication strategies. All right. Also in that same supplemental reading, you'll find on page 196 that they reference a flattening communication world. That's, of course, should sound familiar. That's from our second primary author for this course, which is Friedman. Speaking of Friedman, in the chapter that we read in Friedman this week, he poses some questions that are relevant to our discussion. What kind of good middle-class jobs are successful companies and entrepreneurs creating today? How do workers need to prepare themselves for those jobs? And what role can educators help? What role can educators play to help employees get the skills they need for the jobs in a flattened world? That's what this program here at Purdue is all about. It's about practical skills built on solid theory. It's also, more specifically, what this course is about in terms of global leadership and communication. Now, according to Friedman, education is a process, not a place. Read what Friedman has to say about that process and think about what implication it could have for you and your own education. Well, that's it for now. As always, stay ahead with your assignments, stay engaged in the discussion board, and enjoy this time of learning.